Okay, so now the blade is rough forged, emphasis on rough, I'm going to take my angle grinder and my much larger angle grinder, give it the shape I want, or get close to the shape I want, smooth everything out, because it's a large piece and I don't want it to be rough. So that way I can, well, give the belt sander, flatten everything, and, well, you've probably seen enough of these, you know what's going on. But, yeah, it's probably what the most awkward one of these I've ever done. Anyway, gotta start grinding. So after a lot of time grinding and sanding, I finally have everything set the way I want it. I went ahead and drilled my holes for the handle. This large one's gonna be so I can put a lanyard through the back of it, because this is a machete and a lot of machetes have that. And hey, why not? If you can kind of tell by the coloring in here, usually when I do that, I heat this up several times to make it a little softer. I find that seems to work a little better because I've always had problems drilling through carbon steel for some reason. So I usually normalize that before I do the rest of the blade. And of course got my mark perfectly engraved for the first time in a long time. It's always a pain when you engrave it, you never know quite how it's gonna turn out. But anyway, so I'm gonna throw this in the forge, normalize it, and then heat treat it. And once I get that done, I'm gonna go ahead and make the wood scales. So now that I have this heat treated and tempered, and that took a lot longer than I wanted it to, on account of it kept warping, happens sometimes. I especially find it's hard to keep blades like this that are curved forward straight just because it's hard to look. When you look down, it kind of has a little wobble in it anyway just because of the way it, it's shaped. But, when you lay it flat, then all of a sudden, hey, it's crooked. Anyway, so I decided I'm going to try and give it a stone-washed finish. I've never done that before, so we'll see how it goes, especially because I'm improvising a lot of the stuff. So, that'll be interesting. But to do that, First, what you gotta do is give it a ferric chloride bath. I've seen varying ways how to do it, so I guess if you want to do it, it's probably do more research than what I'm going to show you. So I'm just going to go to that and jump back to this being etched. But from what I've seen, you know, about 50-ish% ferric chloride, the water, and leave it in for about 8 to 10 minutes. I'm going to try that and see what happens. Okay, so the etch actually turned out pretty well, and I was half tempted to leave it, but also decided that if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go all the way. So what I'm going to do now, since I don't actually have a tumbler, I've seen a few different ways how to do this. Basically, usually someone takes like a piece of I don't know, PVC pipe or a bowl. I'm using PVC pipe with duct tape closed ends. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. Then they fill it with some sort of like small stones or something to give it, you know, the stone wash finish, as you know it says. But I went to my local Walmart, because that's really all I have to shop around here, to see about getting some pea gravel, which is usually used for landscaping or, you know, small stones. They didn't have any, so I thought about using just some gravel from my driveway. But then I remembered I have a bunch of these shell casings lying around. More specifically, a bunch of steel casing 7.62 by 39s. So I thought, hey, give that a try. See what it looked like if Kalashnikov tried this. So what I'm going to start with is I've seen a lot of people just put some WD-40 on it, then basically put it in and start shaking it around, and I guess see what happens. That looks good. Okay, so that was probably a lot more work than it was worth. If I had a lot more shells, it might have worked better. I mean, I put in a lot more than what you see me dump into it, obviously. But you can kind of see a slight pattern in there, but it's not that noticeable. But I'm just going to leave it at that and maybe experiment with this a little more. Now what I have to do is make my handle. And then sharpen it, of course, then it should be done. And this has been tiring. Okay, now that I have everything sort of prepped the way I want it, I cut out these handle scales, just a piece of hickory, cut the jaw shape, split in half. This is 1 inch. I'll have to sand it out a little bit because this is going to be pretty wide when I'm done. But now what I'm going to do is I have it clamped in the vise, and I'm just going to take a hand drill and drill out all my holes. Okay, now that my holes are drilled, I'm going to mix up some JB Weld, put some brass pins in it, and then find something to put for like a brass, I don't know, ring thing there. I'll come up with something. So I went to stop my camera after putting these on and realized I forgot to hit record. Basically, just imagine me mixing up some JB Weld, putting it on the backs of these, putting them in place, and then putting some JB Weld and some pins and hammering them through, and you basically get the gist of what I just did. Okay, so now that I have, well, glued on, I'm going to start by taking a farrier's rasp. I mean, not knock everything over. You heard nothing. Farrier's rasp, and kind of knock some of this stuff down. I find the rasp actually takes things down a lot quicker than a belt sander will. Plus, it's cheaper than sanding belts. So I usually do that, and then I go to my sanding belts and kind of smooth everything out. And then once I smooth everything out, of course, I'm going to take a blow dryer to it to give this a nice burn, because burnt hickory looks amazing, especially because hickory doesn't stain very well, unfortunately. So burn it, and then linseed oil it to give it a nice seal and a nice kind of a, I don't know, it's a nice finish. Linseed oil is definitely good.